Today on Hebrew Book Review, Ha-zachal Ha-ra'ev, aka The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Carle. Welcome back to Hebrew Book Review. I'm Sapir and today I'm reviewing Ha-zachal Ha-ra'ev, which is the translation of Carle's The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and it was translated into Hebrew by Edna Kadmar. I cannot for the life of me remember where I purchased this book, but I know it's available at israelbookshop.com and also geffinpublishing.com, which I have no experience with Geffen Publishing, but Israel Bookshop, I've done a lot of business with them. Sometimes it's slow to get books from them because they're coming from Israel, but but I've never had any problems with them. I love buying books from them. So I don't know any American parent who is not familiar with The Very Hungry Caterpillar, but just in case, it is quite the classic. I remember it from when I was a kid, so it's very much a children's picture book, and I've only seen them in English and in Hebrew in board book form lately. When I was a kid, of course, it was just a regular, it had the regular soft pages, but nowadays it's mostly available in board book form, which is best for the littles. So, of course, the Hebrew version is basically intended for Israeli kids because it's all in Hebrew. It's not bilingual. It is 100% in Hebrew, and it's 0% religious, right? It's the very hungry caterpillar. There's no religion anywhere. There's not even any humans in it anywhere. It has a typical Times New Roman font. It might be a 12 point, it might be a 10 point. It's actually a little bit small. There's no cursive anywhere in the book, and it is written with Ketiv Chaser, so the traditional spelling. And this is what we would expect for a book meant for Israeli kids. As with most of these picture books that are meant for little children, you can really use this book more than one way. You can either just read it to a little child who is either pre-literate or does not know any Hebrew, does not know how to read any Hebrew, in which case the parent needs to know some Hebrew. They need to be able to read the Hebrew, and they need to either be familiar with the story or know what the words mean in Hebrew. And the other way you can do it, this is the way I did it with my son, is that you have them read it. And if that's what you want to do, then they're going to need to know all of their letters and all of their nikud and be really proficient in sounding out words and be ready to read full sentences. So again, it's hard for me to imagine any American parent who's not already familiar with this book. I don't know about the other English-speaking countries. I don't know how popular it is there. But basically, it's about the life cycle of a caterpillar told in story format. A caterpillar emerges from its egg, and it's very hungry, and so it spends a week eating through all of this food, and then it builds a cocoon, and next thing you know, it pops out and it's a butterfly. And so part of the fun of the book is that each day he eats one more of everything, and so the pages get bigger and bigger, and they've got little holes in each of the fruits. And I've seen, because the caterpillar is eating through all of the fruits. I've seen people put like shoelaces or string or something through the holes, kind of to indicate that the caterpillar is eating through all of the foods, all of the various foods. So when I read this book with my son, he was already familiar with the English version, and he enjoyed the Hebrew version as well. He already knew how to read in Hebrew, and so he was he did all of the reading, and he did a great job with it. And of course there were words in there that he didn't know, and so I helped him with them. I think the book would be great to go along with a unit on days or numbers or foods, especially fruits, because most of what the caterpillar eats, at least for the first 5 or 6 days, are all fruits. So you could put it in conjunction with a unit on fruit. So there's only 2 things that I maybe don't like about this book, and the first is that the print is really small. Part of it is that because it's a board books tend to be smaller than regular sized children's books, and because of course at least the first and second days of eating, those pages are really small, and so they have to fit a lot of print into a small space, and so they made the print really small, a little too small if you ask me. And for the most part, whenever there's a book with print that's too small, I always say, oh, just photocopy it and enlarge it or whatever. But of course that's not going to work so well with this book, because so much of the fun of it is the small pages. If you want to do something like that where you're going to photocopy it and enlarge it, then you're also going to be cutting the pages and punching some holes. There's going to be a lot more involved if you try to do that and have the same experience. The other thing is just that it's a translated book rather than a book originally written in Hebrew. And I very much prefer books written in Hebrew. But this one is such a classic in English that it may actually be an advantage that it's a well-known English book, because the kids, it might kind of cut down on the need for parental guidance as to what the words mean, because if the kids already know the story in English, then they'll be able to more easily figure out the unknown Hebrew words, just because they already know the story. Between the illustrations and their familiarity with the story, that will help them figure out more of the Hebrew without the help of the parent. Alright, so if you want to go looking for it, I even just Googled Ha-zachal. I spelled it H-A-Z-A-C-H-A-L. I didn't put a hyphen in between the Ha and the Zachal, and it came up with, that's when it came up when I saw it with Geffen Publishing. And then I also searched for it using that same spelling in Israel Bookshop, just in case you don't have the capability of typing in Hebrew on your keyboard. You can write it that way and you'll be able to find it. So that's Ha-zachal Ha-ra'ev. I think it's a fun book. It was fun in English, it's fun in Hebrew. I highly recommend it. So if you have any questions or feedback, please leave it in the comments. And especially if you have a book that you'd like me to review, leave that in the comments and I'll try to get a copy of it and do a review of it. Hit like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more. Lehitraot bapa'am haba'ah. See you next time.